The wind moved slowly across the open land, carrying dust, dry grass, and the smell of animals. The boy stood barefoot at the edge of the rancher's field, his toes sinking into the cold dirt. His shirt was too thin for the evening chill, frayed at the collar, patched twice at the elbows. Still, he did not shiver, not now. Behind him, his little sister hid half her face in his back, her small fingers clutching his shirt as if letting go would mean disappearing forever. Her breathing came in short, frightened gasps. She had been the one to cry when the sheep scattered. She had been the one to trip near the broken fence. And now she was the one the rancher's men had dragged forward. The rancher sat tall on his horse, a dark shadow against the fading sky. His eyes moved from the trampled grass to the empty pen, then down to the children. Everyone in the valley knew that look. It meant loss. It meant punishment. The boy stepped forward before anyone could speak. "Please," he said. His voice cracked, but he forced the word out again, softer this time, almost like a secret meant only for the earth beneath them. "Spare my sister. Take me instead." The rancher's horse snorted, shifting its weight. The sound made the girl flinch. The boy spread his arms slightly, as if his thin body could somehow shield her from everything: anger, cruelty, fate itself. "I did it," he lied quickly. "I broke the fence. I scared the sheep. She didn't mean to." The rancher didn't answer. He only watched. The silence grew heavy, pressing down on the boy's chest until it was hard to breathe. His heart pounded so loudly he was sure everyone could hear it. He thought of their empty house. Of the nights he pretended not to be hungry so his sister could eat more. Of the promise he had made at their parents' graves, that nothing would ever happen to her. The girl tugged at his shirt, whispering his name, her tears soaking into the fabric. He didn't turn around. If he did, he might break. "I'm not afraid," the boy said, though fear burned in his throat. "I can pay for it." For the first time, the rancher leaned forward slightly in his saddle, his sharp gaze narrowing. And in that moment, before judgment, before mercy, the boy stood still, offering himself without knowing if the world would accept the price. The rancher swung down from his horse with a heavy thud, boots sinking into the loose dirt. The sound echoed louder than it should have, like a gavel striking the ground. His men fell silent behind him. Even the sheep in the distant field seemed to stop bleating. "So," the rancher said, his voice low and sharp, "you think courage can pay a debt?" The boy lifted his chin, though his legs trembled. The rancher was taller than he'd imagined, shoulders broad, face cut with deep lines carved by sun and anger. His eyes were not wild, but calculating. That frightened the boy more. "I don't think," the boy replied. "I know I owe you." The rancher's brow twitched. He circled slowly, each step deliberate, boots crunching gravel as if to remind the boy of every broken post, every lost animal. "You children wander onto my land," he said. "My fence is broken. My sheep run loose. And you expect mercy." The girl whimpered. The boy stepped sideways again, blocking her from view. "I'll work," he said quickly. "I can mend fences, carry water, clean stalls. I won't run." The rancher stopped directly in front of him. "And when you fail?" he asked. "When your arms give out? When hunger makes you slow? Then punish me," the boy said, his voice shaking now. "Not her." For a long moment, the rancher stared at him. The wind tugged at the boy's hair, lifting dust into his eyes, but he refused to blink. He had learned long ago that blinking first meant losing. "You're small," the rancher said at last. "Skin and bone. What makes you think you're worth anything?" The words struck harder than a slap. The boy swallowed, forcing air into his lungs. "Because I'll stay," he answered. "Others might run. I won't." Behind him, the girl shook her head, tears streaking her dirty cheeks. "It was me," she sobbed. Enough," the rancher snapped. He turned to his men. "Look at him," he said. "He stands there like a grown man, yet he's barely more than a child." Then, unexpectedly, he crouched so his face was level with the boy's. His voice dropped, dangerous and quiet. "If I take you," he said, "there is no turning back. No rescue, no mercy." The boy's heart slammed against his ribs. This was the moment, the edge of the cliff. He nodded once. "I understand." Something flickered in the rancher's eyes, something old, buried deep. And for the first time, the rancher did not speak right away. The rancher straightened slowly, as if the weight of the decision pressed down on his spine. When he finally spoke, his voice carried across the field, firm and final. "Take the girl home." The words landed like thunder. The boy barely had time to breathe before his sister cried out. She clutched his arm with both hands, her fingers digging into his skin as if she could anchor him to the earth. "No," she pleaded. "Please don't make him go. I'll work. I'll be quiet. I won't break anything again." The rancher's men shifted uncomfortably. One of them looked away. "It's done," the rancher said, not raising his voice. "She is not my concern." The boy gently peeled his sister's hands from his sleeve. His own hands were shaking now, though he tried to hide it. "Listen to me," he whispered urgently, bending down so only she could hear. "Go home. Lock the door. Don't wait for me." Her face twisted in terror. "You promised," she sobbed. "You said you'd never leave me." "I know," he said, his throat tightening. "This is how I keep that promise." She shook her head wildly as the rancher's men stepped forward. One reached for her shoulder, careful but firm. Her cries echoed across the land, sharp and desperate, cutting deeper than any blade. The boy turned away. If he looked at her again, he knew he would run. And running would cost her everything. "Come," the rancher said. The boy followed, each step heavier than the last. He felt smaller with every pace, as though the distance between him and his sister drained something vital from his body. The rancher's horse snorted as they passed. The saddle creaked. The reins swayed gently in the breeze, calm, indifferent. They walked toward the ranch house, its white walls looming against the darkening sky. Smoke curled from the chimney. Light flickered behind the windows. It looked warm, safe. The boy knew better. He expected to be locked away. Beaten. Forgotten. At the door, the rancher paused. He didn't look at the boy right away. Instead, he stared out across the land. The fields, the fences, the distant road where the girl's small figure was finally disappearing. "You chose this," the rancher said quietly. "Yes," the boy answered. The rancher nodded once, then opened the door. Inside, the air was warm. The scent of bread and wood filled the boy's lungs, confusing him. This wasn't punishment. This was something worse, something unknown. "Sit," the rancher said. The door closed behind them with a soft, final click. The boy sat stiffly at the long wooden table, his hands folded in his lap the way his mother once taught him. The chair felt too large beneath him. The room was quiet except for the crackle of the fire and the low hum of the kettle warming on the stove. Nothing about this place felt like punishment, and that made his chest ache with confusion. The rancher set 2 tin cups on the table and poured water slowly. Carefully, as if each movement mattered. He slid 1 cup toward the boy. "Drink," he said. The boy hesitated, then obeyed. The water was cool and clean. It tasted like mercy, though he didn't yet trust it. For a long moment, the rancher said nothing. He removed his gloves and set them down, revealing hands rough and scarred. Hands that had built fences and broken them. Hands that had held reins and, perhaps once, held someone he loved. "I had a brother," the rancher began, his voice lower now, stripped of its edge. "Younger than me, smaller too." The boy looked up. "He used to stand in front of trouble," the rancher continued, staring into the fire. "Just like you did today. Thought he could shield the world with his body." The fire popped softly. "When sickness came, I was angry," the rancher said. "Angry at the land. Angry at God. I thought strength meant surviving alone." His jaw tightened. No one stood in front of him when it mattered. The rancher turned then and knelt so they were eye to eye. The room seemed to shrink around them. "When I saw you step forward," he said quietly, "I saw what I lost. And what I failed to be." The boy's breath caught. He didn't know what to say. He had never been looked at like this, not as a burden, not as a problem, but as something valuable. "I don't need a worker," the rancher said. "I needed to know if courage like that still existed." He stood and crossed the room, returning with a heavy envelope and a sack filled with food. He placed both in front of the boy. "This land," the rancher said, tapping the envelope, "belongs to your family now. No fences between us, no debts." The boy's eyes burned. "My sister, she's safe," the rancher said. "And she always will be." At dawn, the boy walked home, the sack heavy on his shoulder, hope heavier still. From the porch, The rancher watched him go, whispering to the empty air. "Thank you, little brother, wherever you are."